Hi, I'm very funny and I have a brand new show that I'm touring. So, before we jump into this episode, I quickly want to run through all the cities that I'm visiting. I'm in Bangalore on August 5th, Ahmedabad August 6th, Pune August 12th, Chennai August 13th, Hyderabad August 15th, Mumbai August 18 and 19, Thane August 20, Delhi August 27th, and Goa September 1st. Tickets to these shows are available in the links in the video description or on the link in my bio on Instagram, which is at absolutely Danny. Now, if you want to be part of future episodes of this podcast, it's very simple. All you have to do is send me an email at danielwfernandes at gmail.com or hit me up on my Instagram in the DMs and say, hey, I just want to be on the podcast and this is what I want to bitch about. It's that easy. Don't forget, this podcast is pay as you like for those of you who would like to support the future production of this podcast. All you have to do is click on any one of the payment links depending on where you're from, send an amount of your choice, and that's it. We'll give you credit, maybe. But yeah, there's no pressure. Feel free to contribute or not. But I hope you enjoy this episode anyway. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and all the other things Mark Zuckerberg and Google want us to do. So, yeah, without any further ado, let's get to it. Here's episode 2 of Bitch Please. Hello.
Hello, Danny.
Hi there. Tell me your name and where you are joining us from today.
This is Dr. Tirtha Shetty, and I'm a gynecologist from Mumbai.
Gynecologists are my favorite kind of doctors.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
Thank you for joining me. So, what would you like to bitch about today?
Today, I'm going to bitch about something that's very close to my heart, and that is how sex education is such a rarity or scarcity in Indian households.
Okay.
So, I am a 90s kid, and I was taught about periods when I was in school. That was through the school.
Okay.
But we were never told anything about sex education. And now that I know better, considering I am decades older, I realize that,
Hang on a second. Sorry to interrupt you. We are not decades older, okay? We're just like maybe like a couple of decades. Our parents are decades older, okay? Because I'm also a 90s kid and I'm like, okay, this is going well. And then suddenly you're like, we're decades older. I'm like, no. Just a couple maybe. But yeah, you were saying.
Yeah. So, we come from a time where our private parts, I mean, at least in my house, we were told to call them shame, or, nunnu.
Yeah,
So
we all had
that's
different
the,
nicknames. Like in Bombay, where I grew
yeah,
up, for guys, the penis was called bully. Like it
my
was just
God.
like, oh god.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the amount of, sex education we got. And then when we got older,
Mm-hmm.
we were never told that, you're going to get a mustache or your breasts are going to grow or your hormones are going to surge.
Yeah,
We've never told any of it. And why? I mean, we are a country with a population of 1.48 billion.
exactly. Somebody's having sex, and nobody's
Yes,
talking about it. So I
exactly.
completely resonate with what you're saying because that's exactly what I went through as well as a 90s child. You
Mhm.
know, we grew up and went through puberty and all of the changes in our bodies and all the
Mhm.
emotional and the hormonal changes that happened. And yeah, nobody spoke to
Yes.
us about it. Nobody sat us
Yeah.
down, whether it was our parents, whether it was even at school. Like, I don't know how many
Mhm.
schools in India in our time actually had sex education, but we didn't. The only thing I remember learning anything remotely close to sex was,
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember, like, I think it was either in grade 9 or 10, we had this
Yes.
class in science. There was a chapter on reproductive organs,
Yes.
and the teachers pointed out to the reproductive organs in the
Mhm.
textbook.
Mhm.
Everybody giggled,
Mhm.
and then we moved on. That was
Yeah,
it, and the
exactly.
rest was all trial and error. All trial and error.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It was a big joke, like, oh, this chapter is going to come,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everybody's
exactly.
talking
We
about
still
it.
look. I think that chapter was, if I remember correctly, was towards the end of the year, and we
Yeah.
would look forward to it in the previous
Hmm, hmm,
grade
hmm.
itself. So if I think if it's grade
Yes.
9 and grade 8 itself, we were like, oh, this chapter is coming, this chapter is coming, and then for an entire year we discussed it in hushed tones, and then it
Yep.
happened. It was 5 minutes, for whatever I remember. It was a 5 minute discussion, and then we moved on. But what I want to
Yeah.
know, I mean, if you are aware of this, given that you're in the
Hmm,
field, is that still
hmm.
the case right now? Are you saying that it's the same experience for the generations after us?
I think so, yes, because even now, people are still not talking about it, like I've mentioned earlier. And most of the times, like whenever the only change that I've seen is more teenagers are coming forward to know about their bodies to doctors. That is a positive change I've seen.
So you mean to
But
say,
parents are still,
yeah,
hmm,
so you mean to say that teenagers are booking appointments with you and they're asking you questions that they're afraid to ask their own parents?
yes, yes, they're doing that.
Damn.
They're they're more empowered that way.
Yeah.
But even when I tell a mother or a parent that you should talk about even menstrual what changes she's going to go through because menstruation is occurring earlier now. So
Okay.
they're like, how can I do that? They don't have that brains. For them, it's like my child doesn't have enough brains. How can you decide how much brains your child
So
has?
the parents feel that the children are not smart enough or don't have the emotional
Hmm.
intelligence to understand the changes in their bodies.
Correct.
Do you think
Yes.
that's the truth, or is it that the parents themselves are not equipped to have these conversations and then they don't know how to go about it?
Yes, the parents are scared. They're like, if I tell my child anything, like they don't believe that sex education has sex as well as education. They think it's all about sex. They'll think that the
Right.
child is going to run and have sex the same day if I talk to them about
Right.
sex.
Right.
Whereas research has shown that, those kids who are taught about safe sex practices, they tend to delay their first sexual act. Research has proven that.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I reckon that would make sense, right? If you explain the entire spectrum of what sex includes, it's not just the kissing
Yes.
and the actual doing. Sorry, I'll use the word intercourse. It's not just
Mm.
kissing and intercourse,
Yes.
but everything that comes before and
Yeah.
after. When you
Mm.
paint an entire picture, maybe that will hopefully freak them out in the right way, and they'll be like, hang on a second, I don't think I want to try this just yet, as opposed
Yes.
to somebody going like, hey, nobody's told
Mm.
me about this, but I wake up every morning with a boner and I don't know what to do with it, so let me ask my friend and see
Yes.
if she has some information,
Yeah.
and then we can figure it out together.
Mm.
And bang, a month later they're at your clinic.
Yes, exactly. So let's be honest, they're going to have sex and they are curious.
Yeah.
So you are the most trusted source they can, get information from. They're going to get information, and the most common source of information is Google or their friend who's equally, their sense of knowledge is equal to you.
Correct.
So if you are telling it, if you are the first source, then they have trust towards you. And most parents think it's one big talk. No, it has to be an ongoing conversation, like I
It's
said,
many talks. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
also
yeah.
a generational thing. I think, I often
Hmm.
find that it's easy to blame our parents. Okay, they don't do this or they
Hmm.
didn't do that. But I've come to realize, like, I've had a lot of conversations with my mom of late,
Hmm.
especially about, her
Hmm.
childhood and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
man,
Hmm.
like, our parents, when they were kids, from whatever I
Hmm.
gather, they barely spoke to their parents
Yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
let alone sex, about anything at all.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I feel that it's just this generational thing of where nobody's talking
Hmm.
about it. They're just going about their
Hmm.
routines. They're having their kids, they're sending them to school, giving them the education. But the one that's the most important doesn't come from anywhere, not from the
Hmm.
parents, not from the school. And then our parents grew up and they did the same thing with us. What's happening here, what has
Yes.
changed is now because of the internet, everybody's talking to each other. And
Yeah.
now we're like, hey, hang on a second, we should be talking about
Hmm.
sex. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like all the time.
Yeah. Like you
Yeah.
said, it has to be two-way conversation. I mean, if your parent is hesitant,
Yeah.
I would say, why not you go and initiate it? Probably you'll get a whacking if you're a teenager at first,
Mm-hmm.
but at least it'll open up some avenue, Try conversing. Probably it will not be as bad because most of the things are bad in our head.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about safe sex, talk about contraception,
Mm-hmm.
talk to your parent if they are not talking to you, I would say, because most teenagers can do that. I
Yeah.
mean, now the parent child relationship is much better than what we had as
Yeah,
children or
fair enough.
what our parents had with their
I agree
parents.
100%. And if your parents don't treat you right, you can go ahead and cancel them now. We didn't have the option of canceling our parents. This young generation, they do. So if your parents are not teaching you about sex, cancel them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because I remember, I mean, contraception also was such a taboo and is still a taboo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to go to the medical store and ask for a raincoat or, chhatri
Really?
for a condom. I mean,
Really?
yeah, I've still seen that.
Yeah. No, so for me, what happens is if I want to buy a condom, I just go to the store, and usually these chemists are usually very crowded, right? So, and I don't have the patience to wait. So I just scream very loudly from the back, condoms, and holy shit, like people clear the space so fast, and I just step forward and I get what I want and I leave. But I also think
Yeah, you'll
now
get the
they have,
stares.
yeah, oh, yeah, I like it when people stare at me. And like, now when I say condom, people stare at me. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting some, bro. I am getting lucky tonight. But I think now it's
Okay.
even easier to pick up at least basic contraception like condoms because you go to a supermarket, they're right there on the shelf. You
Yeah,
just have to
yeah.
pick them up
It's much easier.
and yeah, go straight to the counter.
They're provided free by the government also. I mean, there are some centers which provide condoms for free.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the times I've seen teenagers, they either don't know
Yeah.
or they're too shy
Mm-hmm.
or they're unaware, like how to use a condom. Many people don't know. I mean, they'll use it wrong and then end up with contraceptive failure.
Right. But at least one silver lining here is that I'm glad that the government has finally realized that we can't have more
Mm-hmm.
children. So so
Yeah.
they're making condoms available for
One
free.
war.
So do
Yeah,
they
I mean,
not have sex
hmm,
educations in school even today?
I don't think so. No.
So they don't.
As far as I know, they don't.
So there's nowhere in the curriculum where somebody's a grown up is teaching these kids how to use a condom, how to put one on, how to take one off. None of that.
Oh my God, no, no. Because
Wow.
there's a big class. So at least some parent will be like, why are you teaching my child this? This is wrong. You should not be
Yeah.
teaching my child this. This is not why my child has come for.
That's another Indian
And
thing, right? Sex is bad, sex is
hmm,
wrong. It should be done quietly in the dark
yeah,
when everybody else is asleep,
mhm.
yeah.
See,
So
it's not in our culture.
it's just, which is so weird because we fucking wrote the Kama
Mhm.
Sutra. Like
Exactly my
we
point.
have made the entire world go round and round in circles, doing
Mhm.
acrobatics, trying to do the kind of things that are illustrated in
Yeah.
that book. We gave the world the
Mm.
blueprint for mind blowing sex, and then we don't want to talk about it. Like I
We
think,
we have
like,
sculptures.
yeah, exactly, the sculptures in
Yeah.
the temples and stuff. And I think the
Mhm.
government should now, start a new curriculum where the first page of every textbook has one position of the Kama Sutra. Okay. Yeah,
My
the
God.
population will drop drastically over the next couple of decades, and everybody in the country will be having mind blowing sex. Win win.
Exactly. Yes. True that.
Yeah.
I rem I remember this one incident where I was going through my dad's stuff
Mm-hmm.
and I happened to come across a condom packet. I think I was a 13-year-old or so.
Mm-hmm.
And that obviously condom packets are very descriptive as to there's a nice picture of a woman and a man
Yeah.
and it's in a very nice posture. And I
Mm-hmm.
was so guilt ridden and I was like, I wanted to hide it somewhere. I was hiding and it was hidden. It was hidden and it just fell.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt so guilty that, oh my God, why am I even seeing this? As if I dropped from the sky or a storm dropped me. But that is the kind of, mental state that we were in, that no, this is very bad. You're not
Right.
supposed to see all
So
this.
there's just shame associated with it. end to
Hmm.
end, whether it's with the
Yes.
children or with the parents.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what kind of sex are these kids having, and how early are they starting then because of the lack of awareness?
See, I have known and
Mm-hmm.
seen as people as early as 15-year-olds,
Mm-hmm.
16-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
That is the usual age.
Where they
I mean,
start
in
exploring.
India, I think yeah, it's still higher. It's
Mm-hmm.
much lower in other countries.
Okay.
And what I've seen is, they either their reference is porn, which
Mm-hmm.
is first unrealistic. I mean, I
I
would
mean,
say
it
porn.
depends. Like in the beginning, even when I also used to watch porn, I should be like, yeah, I don't think that's possible. And then, I started working
Hmm.
out and stuff. And I'm
Hmm.
just saying,
Hmm.
it's not entirely unrealistic. I mean, if your cardiovascular
Yeah.
strength is good, if your flexibility is up there, you can, yeah, you can start making your own
So
videos.
I
But
like
I know
to
what you mean. I know
call
what
it.
you mean. Yeah.
I give the reference of Shah Rukh Khan movies. Like everything that you see is not true at all,
Mm-hmm.
not entirely true.
Right.
So one is they end up becoming insecure of their bodies
Right.
because of porn is all perfect,
Correct.
and then they end up with accidental pregnancies
Mm-hmm.
and they're in a fix
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And this concept of consent is very, very, like, what is it called? Porn, if they're taking it as a reference, consent is never a thing in porn movies.
Right.
They, in fact, try to show these scenarios where, they're being forced, or so they think that's how it's supposed to be.
Okay.
They don't understand.
Okay.
And accidental pregnancy gets messy.
Mm-hmm.
Then they don't know whom to go to if they are below 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
Since there'll be a lot of teenagers listening to this podcast in
Mm-hmm.
India. If you are below 18 years, even if it's consensual intercourse,
Mm-hmm.
it will be counted as rape.
Wait, so
I
even
mean, the law
even
is.
if both partners are minors?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
So there's something called as a POXO Act, which has come up after the Nirbhaya case, or in general.
Right. POSCO,
Below
right?
18 years of age, POXO, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you had consensual intercourse, it will be counted as rape and the boy will be thrown into the jail. This has happened so
Oh,
many times.
right.
So please, please be careful,
Mm-hmm.
and seek help at the right time. If not parents, at least doctor, do something. Go to some adult you trust. I always tell this. If you are scared of your parent, some adult, just go to somebody
Mm-hmm.
who can help you out. Don't suffer unnecessarily.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's rewind a little bit. Now we've
Hmm.
established that
Hmm.
obviously, yeah, parents are not talking to
Hmm.
their kids about sex. They are finding it out
Hmm. Hmm.
through supposedly the gray market, which is their friends and
Hmm.
porn and other
Hmm. Hmm.
trusted sources. So
Hmm.
maybe let's
Yeah.
use the time that we have and probably let's kind of list out or talk about the things that you feel as a professional that
Hmm.
young people in the country should know about
Hmm.
sex, like as as simple as the basics, like what are some of the things
Hmm.
that both men and women should know. Like, okay, you talk for the
Hmm.
women, I'll talk for the men. You correct me if I'm wrong
Hmm.
about anything that I say, okay, because again, I'm not a
All right.
professional. Right, so what should
Okay. So
young women know about sex the minute they start hitting puberty?
Okay, so the moment you start hitting puberty, the first thing that will happen is your breasts might grow in size.
Mm-hmm.
You will start getting pubic and axillary hair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the axillary is hair under the armpits, hair in your private parts, to
Mm-hmm.
be clear.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take care of the hygiene,
Mm-hmm.
and you will start menstruating.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure that you are using good menstrual care products to
Mm-hmm.
take care of yourself, and your menstrual hygiene is keeping the area dry, changing your menstrual product every 6 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and if you feel weak, you are losing blood every month.
Mm-hmm.
If you are feeling, you have to make sure that you eat well during that time. Take care of your physical health as well.
Yeah.
So that is the first point.
So I think for the
So
boys,
what?
it's
Hmm.
almost similar where, yeah, Of course, you don't grow breasts, but yeah, you some do, but
Not
then
all.
they can
Some do.
they can figure that out later. But I think from what
Yeah.
I remember, yeah, you start you get a mustache, the armpit hair, there's pubic hair, and then there's boners or erections. I don't know what the young kids are calling them these days, but yeah, we used to call them boners. And you also wet dreams. Yeah, you start having
Yeah.
sexual feelings even while you're asleep. You'll suddenly you have some of the best dream, and you're just like, why does this feel so nice? This dream is really good. And then you wake up and you're like, oh, okay, this is new. All right, there's a special delivery from Amazon I see over here. But yeah, you start discovering things about your body. I think you start feeling arousal as well. So that's how it starts off for the boys, I think, around the similar time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what?
So
So okay, fine.
then
So now
as
all of this has happened. Okay,
mm,
so you suddenly
mm,
you have boobs, you have a bush, you
mm,
have an erection.
mm.
What do you do with it?
Okay, so you will start as you grow older, you will start feeling attraction towards the opposite sex. That's when
Or
you
same sex either.
same sex.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Yes, same sex. I'm so
Otherwise,
sorry.
we'll both
Yes,
get cancelled.
in bed. Oh yes,
Yes, you
yes.
start feeling
You may
attracted
have
to people.
attraction.
Yes, you start feeling attracted to
Yes,
people. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
and
And
then you'll act on that attraction. You'll hook up with them, and then they won't call you back. Which means
that
you
is a
were bad
possibility.
at what you were doing. You had no idea what you were doing. That person is so freaked out. They're like, I'm never calling this person again. I'm totally gonna ghost them.
Not Yeah, not necessarily that you were not doing it right.
Yes.
They must be just a serial ghoster.
Yeah. Also,
Let's frame it that way.
good that you
Hmm.
brought this up. Also, there's this
Hmm.
misconception that your first time now that you have all the
Hmm.
moving parts required to have sex,
Hmm.
there is this
Hmm.
misconception that your first time is going to be mind blowing. Okay, it is
Yeah.
not. It is probably going to be the
Hmm.
weirdest thing
Yeah.
you've ever done. It is
Yeah.
probably going to be very very awkward for both of you. So I
Hmm.
think it's very important for both people. If you're having sex for the first time, just be very
Hmm.
clear that it's not going to be
Hmm.
this magical explosion of all your
Hmm.
senses coming alive and you seeing stars
Yes.
in the middle of the day. That's not going to happen. It's probably going to be very very
Yes.
awkward. And I've
Hmm.
learned that it gets better with time, just like anything else, just like any other skill.
Yes.
You need to
Hmm.
learn to master it,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
comes with
Yeah.
time. So don't be weirded out if your first time did not go the way you thought it would. It's the same with everybody.
Yes. Good you brought that up. I mean, masturbation is a form of self-pleasure, and I don't know why there are so many myths surrounding it. Just like we talk about, there's so much hoo-ha about, self-care, self-love.
Yeah,
It's important that we also focus on
I
self-pleasure.
yeah. When people say self care, self love, I just thought they were euphemisms for masturbation.
No, they
But
were
is
just
this
taking care of the
so? There
skin
are
and dancing.
yes, and there are some people who believe that masturbation is unhealthy. Is that true?
Yeah, not at all. That's why that terminology called NoFap November or whatever,
No nut
it
November. No nut
deprives,
November. Yeah.
no nut.
Mm-hmm.
It deprives you of your vital energy. It causes, I've heard this, it causes pimples,
Right.
it causes muscle loss, it causes weight loss. I mean, we wish that it may cause weight loss, but it doesn't. They're all myths.
So you're saying that medically it is
Hmm.
essential to have an orgasm or have a sexual experience every now and then once you are sexually off age, so to say. Is that would that be right? Am I in saying?
See, it's not essential. I will not put it that way, but it's your choice. I mean, just because you're believing in the myths and not indulging in it would be wrong.
Okay, so
Probably,
not essential, but at the same time,
hmm,
it's not harmful to your body either. So if you are feeling
no,
aroused and if you want to partake
hmm,
in intercourse or self
hmm,
pleasure, it's absolutely fine,
hmm,
right?
absolutely fine.
And what about this
If you're
thing?
doing it too,
Sorry, go on.
hmm,
Yeah.
sorry, if you're doing it too often and it's affecting your work, then probably reduce the frequency, but it's not unhealthy at all.
Yeah, so basically don't abuse it like you would anything else, like maybe
Hmm.
alcohol
Right.
or cigarettes or whatever it is,
Yes.
anything that you do, whether it's food, anything. So everything in moderation works best.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Also, this thing that I've heard, they say that sex is good for the skin. Is that
Mhm.
like they like
I mean,
when people have sex that they
mm,
like women especially say that they have this glow, their skin is glowing because they've had sex. Is there any medical truth to that?
sex releases endorphins. It makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
That's how your skin and your blood supply increases everywhere.
Correct.
So it also increases in
Everywhere.
your skin. That's why your skin looks flushed.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why my
And it
skin
makes you
also looks
happy.
so
So,
good. Look at me, I'm so happy,
yes.
I'm smiling, my skin looks great, I don't look 39 at all.
I didn't hear that.
So what is the next thing? Okay, so you're now attracted to somebody. You're either you're indulging in self pleasure, which is absolutely normal. Knock yourself out. Make sure nobody's watching. There are different ways to do it. Look that up. Or if
Yeah.
you are having intercourse, which is yours where it
Hmm.
kind of gets very important, safe sex.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So as a
Yeah.
doctor, what would you like people to know about safe sex?
So first, most important is consent. I would tell this to all, since I'm talking from for the women.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do something you do not want to do because of some pressure. Mostly it's peer pressure. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
young women talk to each other. I did it. You have not yet done it.
Mm-hmm.
They try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be comfortable. You have to be ready for it. And when you feel ready, do it then. Don't do it just because somebody is forcing you. Probably your partner, probably your friend. Very, very
Yeah.
important.
I think the same would
And
apply for the guys also, right?
mm,
Like even the
yes,
men, like
yes.
men amongst
Hmm.
each other in their peer groups also
Hmm.
have this pressure. Oh, this guy's
Hmm.
still a virgin,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
etc., etc.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb where you don't do
Hmm.
anything in life unless you want to do it.
Yes. Exactly.
That's a good start. So yeah, go on. Yeah.
And last and final holy grail is contraception, contraception, contraception. Like I've not emphasized this so much in all my appointments because one, it's not just to prevent a pregnancy, it's to
Mm-hmm.
protect you from STDs,
Yeah.
sexually transmitted infections. Once you get it, it's for life.
Mm-hmm. Not all of them.
Don't, not all of them, but most of them,
Okay.
like HIV, hepatitis B,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so syphilis for that matter. It
Syphilis.
can be transmitted via
Syphilis was the
body
name of Joey's
secretion.
manager and friends, no? Or was that Phyllis? Oh, no. Sorry,
Phyllis. It was
Phyllis,
not
Phyllis.
syphilis.
Sorry, my bad. So
Oh,
yeah, of course, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, protection. Make sure you don't pick up an infection. You don't pass on one either. That's a good one. What else do they need to know?
for the women, after you have intercourse, I always tell this that always urinate because the bladder and the urethra and the vagina are very closely connected.
Okay.
So women tend to get a lot of urinary tract infections post intercourse. It's called honeymoon cystitis, in fact.
Hun-
So make sure that you all
say that again.
honeymoon cystitis.
Honeymoon
So that's the
cystitis. So that's basically
yeah.
when you have sex, but then you don't urinate immediately.
Pee and yeah,
So is
then
it
you end up with
like
a urinary
get off
tract
the guy and
infection.
run straight to the bathroom, or like
No, no, no. Take your time,
like within a
but always
one
clean up.
hour window?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Within a 1 hour
Okay.
window.
I'm also learning. Yeah. Was that true for
Yes.
men as well? Should men pee as well? Like after they're
If
done?
you No, not really. But if it's always good to clean up after an intercourse.
Yeah,
So
fair. That's fair. Yeah,
you should.
yeah. Clean
Mm,
up and
mm.
yourself, your partner, the
Mm.
walls, wherever you have.
Balls are not necessary, but yourself,
No, I
definitely.
mean that stuff shows up in UV lighting. Yeah, you don't want surprises later
Ah,
on, right? When you're raided by the
yes,
FBI or the CIA or whatever, and they
correct,
come.
correct. Yeah, yeah.
Zzz,
And when they use that evidence against you in the court.
yeah. Holy shit. So yeah. clean
I
up.
think that's about it. Hmm.
I think, but what about the psychological aspects of being sexually active? Like you talked about, this peer pressure.
Hmm.
Then there's the performance anxiety. Is performance anxiety common with women?
Yeah, for them, it's mostly the physical aspect. They usually like, are my breasts big enough? Is he enjoying enough? Is he or she enjoying enough?
Right.
Is
So
it's more like body image issues for them.
right. Like with men also, I think it's very common. I think it's more common than they would like to
Mm.
admit, because there's this sort of masculinity that's attached to having sex, right? You have to have like a rock hard boner, you have to break the bed, and you have
Mm.
to hoist her like a
Mm.
flag, and all
Yes,
of those
yes.
expectations. And
Yeah,
guys,
yeah,
let me tell you, that does not always happen, okay? You will
yeah.
have an off night more often than you think. And
Yeah,
it is very common, like, yeah,
yeah.
there'll be days where you're all ready, you're raring to go, and
Mm.
your penis is like, nahi aaj meko nahi karne ka, aaj mood nahi hai yaar, nahi. Like, you're just like, bro, come
Mm.
on. You're like, no, 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 aaj nahi karne ka meko. So yeah, and you'll
Mm.
find that especially as you get older, you start having many disagreements with your penis. So yeah, it's all part of the human experience. Like, and I
That's where.
feel like,
Mm.
I think getting comfortable with your own body is so important outside of, being with your partner or anybody else. It's so important because eventually, like, I think in our 20s we spent a lot of time trying to
Mm.
figure out, okay, how do I do this, how do I
Mm.
impress this person, how do I get that person to like me. We're all about pleasing everybody else, and I find that in my 30s
Mm.
it's more about, okay, fine, this is it, this is who I am, this is what it is,
Mm.
take it or leave it. You kind of get comfortable.
Correct.
So I think if you
Yeah.
can get to that point sooner, you'll find maybe
Mm.
even, stuff like sex more
Mm.
enjoyable. Like, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
And yes, there are many things that one can do to take care of themselves, work out, eat right, sleep right, make sure you're not
Mm.
too stressed out in life. I think if you balance everything else, then I think
Mm.
the sex can be good. Am I right, doctor?
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
I should
Well,
get
you
an
caught me,
honorary
Keertha.
doctorate now.
I think when you're comfortable with yourself, then the last aspect is, communicating with your partner. Many
Yeah.
times you don't tell your partner what you like or you don't like, and they're like
Damn.
confused, and
Yeah,
then
that's
then
that's
they
that's one thing I think a lot of people miss out on, like the communication aspect. Like when you're having sex, man, tell your partner exactly what you like. If you like being tickled in the ass, tell your partner, tickle me in my ass. You have to
you're
be as,
fetishes.
yeah, as specific as possible. And even when it comes to fetishes, my goodness, there is a spectrum. The things that I have experienced, the things that I've heard my friends experience, the things that I've heard people confess, oh my god. So I think
Yeah.
sex is more than just, get in and get out. I think it's an entire smorgasbord of so many millions of possibilities that you could have. And I think the best way to go is, just tell your partner what you want, and ask them what they want as well.
Absolutely. There it is.
People are so afraid to talk in the bedroom, and
Yeah.
it took me a while as well.
And
And now I'm just like, listen, just what exactly do you want today? Just tell me.
exactly, it'll be quicker,
Yes, like,
and we can just
so
be
yeah,
happy. We can both be happy.
at the start of it, like, you just go like, like a waiter, and just be like, hi, what would you like to like me to serve you today? Like, these are the specials. Yeah. And yeah, man, just talk about it. Just talk about it. There's a song, right? Let's talk about sex. Yeah. So sex doesn't have to be like this hush hush taboo thing. And if you're a parent who's watching or listening right now, man, start talking to your kids about sex as early as possible. I mean, uh, let's get done with that whole birds and the bees story, and
Mm.
what was the other one we were told as kids? The stock and stuff like that.
The
Yeah.
stock drops. The
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For me, it was God sent you.
God.
God sent you.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So yeah, I think that this was a very fun bitching session. So yeah, so
Yes,
parents listening
yes,
in,
yes.
you know what to do. If you're a teacher at a school, try and see if you can talk to your kids about sex. And if you're somebody who's just stepping into this big broad world of sexuality, jump, go all in. express yourself, learn to love your body, take care of your body, and take care of your mind, and I don't know, whatever, all those other motivational things people say on reels.
Yeah.
Is there anything
I
else
also do that.
you would like to say before we wrap up this bitching session?
I think that pretty much we spoke about everything and anything in and around sex education. And I hope this podcast reaches a lot of people and it
I hope so
enlightens
too.
and empowers them.
And in case
Yes.
anything goes wrong, you can always head straight to Dr. Tirtha's clinic, and she will sort you out.
Yes.
I'll probably
You can
post.
find me on
Yeah,
Google.
I'll post the address to a clinic on the podcast itself.
Let me know so that I'm not there in the clinic on that day.
Come on. After all of this, you're going to bail. No, no, yeah, you're not.
No.
You're going to be there.
No.
Awesome. So, Tita, this
Yes,
was
absolutely.
a lot of fun, very informative, very educative, and I hope the listeners and the people watching enjoyed this as much
Yes.
as you and I did. Thank you so much for joining me,
Thank you
and
so much.
I look forward to having you on the podcast again and maybe bitch about something else.
Definitely. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for joining in. Take care. See you. Bye bye.